All right. Well, hello and welcome to the webinar, Own Your Time, Manage Your Schedule, and Win Back Your Day. Before we get started, I want to let everyone know that I have muted everyone's microphones, but please feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar using the chat window by clicking on the chat button at the bottom of your screen. I'd like to give the chat box a little test and have a little bit of fun. So if you could please do me a favor, drop a quick note in there. Tell us how you heard about this webinar and also what you would do with an extra 2 hours in your day. At the end of the webinar, I'll open up the microphones again for questions. And then tomorrow morning, everyone who registered for the webinar will receive a link to the video recording as well as an audio-only recording to listen to on the go.
Are you recording it now? Sorry to interrupt you. But...
Oh, you're good. Yeah, let's see. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Oh, you are. Okay. I'm sorry. It doesn't show. Okay. Okay.
So on that note, I have a lot of information to cover, but should be done in about 45 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Very nice.
So first, a little bit about us. We are I Take the Lead. We're a leads group organization with meetings in Denver, Portland, and the Seattle areas. My name is Alan Pershing, and joining us from Portland today is Becky Tengwall. How are you today, Becky?
Oh, I'm doing great, Alan. Thanks for asking.
Excellent. And a little background to this webinar. I'm the director for Colorado I Take the Lead. My wife and I also started a business selling CBD oil here in December. We're a blended family with 4 kids, all of whom live with us full time. My wife is an RN, also going to school to get her nurse practitioner's license. So our time is stretched pretty thin. And prior to I Take the Lead and the CBD business, I was in the banking and mortgage industry for almost 17 years. And that's where my time management story really begins. Once upon a time, I loved sticky notes. Anything that was important was stuck to something. My mom, desk, my calendar, even the dashboard in my car. But one morning after getting a car wash, I was vacuuming my car or vacuuming under the seats and found a sticky note with a contact who was very interested in a mortgage 2 weeks prior. And I had stuck the note to my dashboard to call that afternoon. Somewhere within that time, it fell off and drifted perfectly under my seat to be discovered 2 weeks later. And that cost me $4,000. And that's where lesson number 1 comes in. And I have I have a question on the side there. Yeah, we see that you're part of the conference now. Can you see the slideshow and everything? No, we should have audio.
Oh, you have to click on to listen to hear. Samsung. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So the key to organizing and managing your time effectively is really simplifying. Get or make a planner and write absolutely everything down every day. And I mean everything. Tasks that need to be accomplished at some point, deadlines, random thoughts, even grocery list items. It all needs to be put in one place and it needs to be written down because it's scientifically proven that things that have been written down are more likely to be remembered. And it's super easy to get swept up in putting everything everywhere thinking you're organized, but you're really not. In fact, a good friend of mine recently emailed me and mentioned that she constantly feels like she's forgetting something. And when I asked her how she documents what needs to be done, she replied with Samsung Notes, Google Calendar, Google Keep, Post-it notes, 2 binders with things to do, a clipboard with work-related tasks, emails and reminders to herself, and her own memory. And, you know, at least it's better than the sticky note trap that I got stuck in. So when you use a planner, by the end of the day, when you write everything down, it really should look like you basically kind of had a brain dump, or your brain kind of barfed on a piece of paper. And that's actually a great thing. But what do you want to do with all that information? Really, it needs to get sorted into 3 places. Your to-do list, a project manager, and then finally your calendar. And you'll want to review your planner a few times throughout the day, at least once in the morning to prepare for your day, once midday to make sure you're on task and add anything new, and again at the end of the day to sort everything out and prepare for the next day. So when you're sorting your tasks, you want to sort by priority. And the biggest key to that is to keep it simple and focus only on those tasks that bring the greatest results. Also, your number one priority task for your day should be the one that makes you feel like you really accomplished something at the end of the day, if that's the only thing you got done. So when you're prioritizing your task, base your prioritization on three things. Will it make you money? Is it something you promise somebody you do, i.e. will it affect your reputation? And is it otherwise a responsibility? So as you're sorting those tasks, think about what can be delegated as well. And this is where I really like, technology has made such a change in our lives, especially here lately, where most everything can be delegated now, even grocery shopping. And a few months ago, the King Soopers near our house started offering curbside pickup. And what a game changer that was. I mean, instead of spending an hour at the store twice a week, you can order everything online now and have it ready to pick up on your way home. And then on top of that, you have Instacart, where they will actually deliver it to you. So for $5 or $10, you can actually pay somebody to do your shopping for you and either bring it to your house, which is great if you work at home, or have it ready for pickup on your way home.
Wow.
So delegating tasks, especially if they're day-to-day tasks and they take away from your time, is super crucial. And another awesome service along that line is Upwork. If your tasks can be delegated to a virtual assistant with minimal training, consider hiring a virtual assistant through Upwork. They get paid through Upwork as a freelance contractor, which means they're not technically your employee. And in turn, you eliminate 3 to 4 hours per week or more of busy work. So that could be email, repetitive tasks, anything along that line. So Upwork and Fiverr.com are really great resources to try to delegate tasks. I want to take a pause for a second here. It looks like, do we have an audio issue or anything going on there?
Well, I think Kim did not. She didn't press on as you come in, you have to press on the green button.
Gotcha.
To listen, to hear, and she must have bypassed that. So
perfect.
So
okay.
She'll get the replay.
Okay, perfect. So next, the remaining notes as you're sorting through your task list and everything that you've written down, anything that's not a task or a priority really becomes a project. And those are all your thoughts, your marketing ideas, anything like that. They need to find a home in a project manager because they are just that. Like I said, they're a project. I'm partial to Trello, and it's free. It's very organized. You can create what they call boards and add ideas, thoughts, etc. under each board. And you can even add due dates, checklists. I mean, there's so much you can do with Trello. And again, the biggest thing is it's very organized and it's free. There are other options. There's Google Keep, where it's, to me, kind of basically an electronic sticky note board. It's not my most favorite. I don't particularly care for the layout, but everybody's a little different. And then Monday.com, more of a group project manager, and I believe there's a subscription fee for that. But any sort of project management where you can put all your ideas, marketing ideas, blog posts, social media posts, anything like that, any ideas that you have, you don't want them just lingering around. You want to be able to put those and organize those in a spot. And I'll give you an example and I'll show you what that looks like near the end.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
And finally, you want to set your appointments. There are lots of calendar apps, of course. I'm partial to Google Calendar. There's Apple, the Apple Calendar. There's Microsoft Outlook, and pick the one that works for you if you're not using one already. And this is where you schedule your hard appointments. This is your meetings with clients, your networking events and meetings, personal appointments, etc. I mean, this is where, again, you want to schedule pretty much everything. And I think that's kind of second nature now, especially with smartphones, is when you're setting an appointment with somebody, out comes your smartphone, you can look at your calendar and schedule an appointment. And that's great.
Alan?
Yes.
I want to throw something out here that this is Kevin in Oregon. I use a program called Calendly.com.
Yes.
And is an appointment setter that I send to my clients that gives them my Google Calendar, and they can set the appointment right on my calendar so it fits their schedule.
Yes,
that
I can vouch for
really
Calendly too, as well. In the mortgage business. That is a fantastic app. Thank you, Kevin, for throwing that out there. I appreciate that.
And it's called Calendee, Calendee.
I think it's Calendly. Can you throw that? Can you throw that link in the chat box there?
I will.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Kevin.
So, as you're preparing for your day, going through, preparing for your day, or, the very first thing you should do in the morning is map your day. Take everything that you've written down that day or the previous day, and everything that needs to be done should be treated as an appointment. Your tasks should be treated as an appointment. Any tasks that need to be done require time the same way as an appointment does. So time boxing is just another way of setting up micro appointments to get stuff done. And as you're reviewing your planner throughout the day, block out time on your calendar or your planner to complete those important tasks and stick to it. That's the most important part, is sticking to that. So focus on those tasks that keep you productive, not just busy. You want to be able to, again, at the end of the day, complete those tasks that really make you feel like you've accomplished something. Those are tasks that keep you productive. For those who have unavoidable interruptions like walk-ins, phone calls, anything along that line, schedule power hours to have your most important tasks done and make everyone around you aware of it. For me, the earliest part of the day is the best time to get those tasks done, and that require my undivided attention. But we also have a rule in our house. If the office door is closed, don't interrupt unless it's an emergency. And it wasn't always that way, but our children are mostly past that age where if it becomes suspiciously quiet, we don't need to be that concerned anymore. So
You hope anyway.
But when I was in mortgages, I'd block out 1 hour during the day to catch up and get important tasks done. And I communicated to that branch that I would be unavailable for at least 1 hour unless it was an absolute emergency. And during that time, I'd turn my phone off, eliminate all distractions, which brings me to my next point. When you need to get something done, eliminate all distractions. Email can wait an hour, callers can leave you a message, turn your phone to silent, close Facebook, and focus. And for some of us, that is extraordinarily difficult. I get it. Statistically, you are likely to be distracted every 3 minutes. And in fact, as I was creating this slideshow, I thought I could open YouTube, listen to music in the background, and which is pretty harmless, right? And as soon as I opened YouTube, my attention was snagged by a Bluetooth-enabled blender. And why does a blender have to be Bluetooth enabled? I didn't realize I'd been distracted until about 10 minutes later. And so turning off all the distracting websites, phone alerts, everything for just an hour, the first few times you'll really start to feel like you're going through withdrawals, especially if you live on your smartphone like most of us do, including me. But after a while, it really becomes a reprieve, and you start looking forward to your next power hour. But really, truly, time boxing only works if your mantra is nothing and no one will distract me from completing the task. So for most of us, the biggest distraction at work is email. And so as you time block, schedule dedicated time throughout the day to work on email. For me, it's about 30 minutes in the morning to address high priority emails from the previous evening or overnight, and an hour midday to knock out a good chunk of emails, and then another 30 minutes late in the afternoon and evening or more if I need to. And with that, again, it's prioritization. It's responding to those emails that require, your attention immediately and kind of working your way down. Once upon a time, I truly believed I could achieve inbox zero, where, you have absolutely no unread emails. And I haven't had inbox zero for, I don't know, probably better part of 5 years. I mean, it's almost impossible anymore with everything that needs to be done. So I typically average, only about 20 to 30 unread emails in my inbox at any given time. And most of those are kind of just lingering, articles that I want to read and stuff like that, which I can still file them, but I'd rather keep them kind of forefront and not forget them. And I do have to acknowledge that some days we have fires that flare up and consume all of our time. Um, yeah, Austin, inbox zero is tough. A whole nother webinar, absolutely. That's should be the next webinar. Absolutely brutal time management with the inbox zero. But, again, I do have to acknowledge that some days we have fires that flare up and consume all of our time despite planning everything out. And it happens. But just know that it happens and work around it as best as you can. So it's best to admit to yourself, first and foremost, that sometimes despite your best efforts, you will not get everything done. In fact, it's almost impossible, because as you complete tasks, you'll likely remember something else that needs to be done, or other things that are out of your control will pop up and find their way onto your list. So you'll never completely finish your to-do list. And if you do, I've got something for you to do. And that's also the best reason to use an electronic calendar. You can simply drag and drop those events that you haven't, or those tasks that you haven't finished, onto another day, which is great. So here are a couple examples of my planner from the last month. I started with a store-bought planner a couple of years ago, and this is, I think, probably my 11th or 12th version that I've kind of updated. And the left one is from today. And I'll also be sending an Excel file with this along with the recording tomorrow morning for those of you who want to use it. You can actually, change it any way you want and make it work for you. And that's the most important thing, is that you want it to work for you. And that's primarily the reason I don't use store-bought planners, is because they're great from a one-size-fits-all perspective, but when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, you really want something that really truly works for you. So in practice, I actually use a Samsung tablet with a stylus, and on that I have a PDF editor that I keep my planner, the meeting agendas for our networking meetings, and notes. And I can also use it to respond to email, and almost at this point run both businesses completely from that tablet. But it goes everywhere with me. It's small, it's portable, and it eliminates the need for carrying a clipboard and a planner and a whole bunch of other stuff that I used to carry around with me. It truly keeps everything centralized. So it's a little on the more elaborate side of things, but again, do what works for you. And the most important thing is write down everything as it comes to mind, so that you can sort through and organize it later in the day. Prior to the tablet, I simply printed off a week's worth of these planner pages and kept them on a clipboard. And, that worked exceptionally well too. But between that and the agendas, I'm kind of burning through a lot of paper. I've got my tablet that I used for presentations that works just as well. I live on my Google Calendar. My whole family uses Google Calendar. We're actually kind of joking around about that just a few nights ago, is that, it kind of took us a little bit of time to get switched over to, using Google Calendar. And now, years later, we actually have our kids trained to add their events to Google Calendar as well. And it's taught them to manage their time better and be more responsible for themselves. So if they have any kind of extracurricular events or anything along that line, anything they want us to be aware of that we need to either take them to or dedicate time to, they add it to their calendar, add us as an invitee, and it makes sure that we can budget the time accordingly. And doing that has worked exceptionally well. And honestly, my wife and I have so much going on that last minute events that start with, oops, I forgot to tell you, from our kiddos, can throw our week into a tailspin. So they know if it's not on the calendar, it isn't going to happen.
Could you may have, I don't think you did, but could you tell us the ages of your kids? Combined
Sure.
kids?
So oldest is 17. He's actually graduating in May. And then we have two 12-year-olds. We're a blended family. So 17 and 12-year-old are on my wife's side. And then I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. And, the two 12-year-olds and the 17-year-old, they're really getting into the extracurricular and after-school activities. I mean, we've got track, football, wrestling, scouts, what else? Drama club. I mean, there's so much that all of them are doing that we need to know, are these things that we need to drive them to, anything along that line. So yeah, it keeps us pretty busy.
Yeah.
So then I use Trello to capture all my ideas, thoughts, marketing plans, blog posts, article topics, lead generation focus, and growth strategy. And here's what it looks like in practice. And this is why I like Trello so much, is you can actually move those boards around, move everything around, and you have the option to put a really cool background on there, and that's all included for free. And that's just absolutely fantastic. So any articles I want to write for the I Take the Lead newsletter, blog posts, anything along that line gets plugged in there, so that one, I don't forget, and two, it's not just floating around somewhere that I have to go dig it around, dig it up later or try to remember what I wanted to write. So
very nice.
Definitely recommend Trello. It's another one, got my wife turned on to that one as well, because, we collaborate together. You can actually invite others. You see kind of in the upper left-hand corner, invite. You can actually invite others to collaborate with you on these projects, and which is really cool, because again, on the business we started just a couple months ago, she and I can collaborate on, who we're going to talk to, who, marketing ideas and anything along that line. And it keeps us all on kind of the same page, and it works really, really well. She's really big on the education side of it. So she's been putting in articles for me to read, videos for me to watch, and stuff like that. And it's a very central location where, instead of text message, email, whatever, okay, where's that article that you sent me? It's all in one place, and it keeps us organized. So
I like that. That's a great idea. Yeah.
So there's that. Kind of went through that a little quicker than I expected, but I know there's a lot of information on there, and I'm going to open up the microphones for questions now, but I'd also like to hear what you took away from this webinar. And I really want to see what you do with an extra 2 hours in your day. So as I open up the microphones here, what did you find most helpful? Where is my control here? There we go. Okay, so everybody should be unmuted now. Any questions?
Yeah, are you just sending out this slideshow to us? Is that what you said? Recording?
Absolutely, yeah. That'll be in the recording. I'll also send out the slideshow as an attachment, and also an audio-only component. And I'm going to throw in the link to Calendly too. Thank you, Austin, for putting that in there, and
He beat me to the punch.
and Kevin for bringing that in.
Oh yeah, Austin did it. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of information, a lot of great information in there.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What did you take away from it? What was there anything in particular that stood out for you?
Well, myself, I'm a TV independent producer, and my associate producer introduced us into Trello just yesterday, and we set up our whole production back end for cast and crew and documents, and just to organize everything. And so Trello, I totally get it and understand. The other elements, I got in late because I couldn't find the link to this meetup, so I just got in 10 minutes ago. But so I missed the first 10 minutes of your conversation. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to micromanage a lot of stuff right now. So
excellent. I'm glad. That makes me happy that that's a huge plug for Trello to hear that on a treat with TV production, that they're using it in TV production. That's huge. That's really cool.
So Alan, I'm a former torturer like you in the mortgage industry for 32 years. I just retired out, and then went into an organization called Del Carnegie. And the sticky notes, if you looked at my desk, there's probably 22 of them. And yes, I was one of those guys who put one of the sticky notes on my steering wheel to call a loan back. And 2 weeks later, I found it. It's like a little too late.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
So
exactly.
you should feel privileged because this is one of the first presentations I've got on because I thought of the, value of the importance of it. And I told Becky, I said, I got to do this. I got to do this.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I was actually telling Becky before we got started. I actually saw your name on there, and I saw the organization. I thought, whoa! So little intimidating.
Nah, not
So,
at all.
Thank you.
Ask Becky.
And sad to say, the sticky notes haven't entirely gone away. I still have, I think, I have like 5 on the bottom of my monitor, but they're kind of those long-term, these are things like the keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that. I did do away with, the really super important stuff winding up on a sticky note. So.
The Calendly, the reason I went to that is I saw that at a convention that I was at Del Carnegie, and the gal said, how many times you go back and forth trying to set a time to meet somewhere with somebody, how much time you waste. She says, I send that link, let them find my calendar. They fit in the spot that they want. I get it on my calendar, and it lets me know, and it's done. One email, done.
Oh, that is perfect. Yeah.
It saves you 10, 15 minutes of going back and forth. So
Absolutely. So yeah, that's perfect. I do. That is a great service that they offer, and that's another one where it's free. I think they limit you to one event type for free,
Correct.
but it's a very reasonable subscription where you can then schedule. I can't remember how many it is off the top.
you can try as many points you want. And what I do is I just tell people, I said, I have blocks for hours because of travel time. So pick the time that you want. And that gives me, 15 minutes before and after to get there. Because I usually do 30-minute sessions. So
Excellent. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So cool. Anybody else have questions? Like I said, I know we kind of went through the information a little quicker than I expected, but we got quite a bit of time left. So what other questions you have out there? So Becky, what would you do with another 2 hours in your day?
Oh, you got to be joking. We have a question here. I'm in the financial industry, really like the software choices to help organize my schedule. Greatly appreciated. Well, Bernard, do you have any questions for Alan?
No. Okay.
Oh no. Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And like you said, we've got couple comments on Trello, Calendly, which plugs in directly to your Google Calendar, and just using a planner that really works for you, even if it's a notebook that you carry around. Just as long as it gets onto paper. Austin, you've got a question?
Yeah, so great presentation. My greatest takeaway was from the beginning about consolidating our inventories of to do, right? And so this is something that I've been dealing with as well. So how, we just have to stick to a couple of apps. If we're dealing, it seems like there's a little bit of overlap between all of these, even if we have one calendar, like for me, for example. But it's how do we go about simplifying where we capture this information so that we're not stuck sending loads of information over to another app where it's stored in a silo?
Absolutely. I think the person who creates that app, I wish I was I wished I knew programming. I wished I was a coder, because I think the person that could create that app where you could tie together your calendar, a task list, a project manager, everything, all of that all into one, I think they'd honestly make a lot of money off the entrepreneur, off the service provider, anybody who really is in a business or for themselves or anything that requires some sort of pipeline or organization like that. Because that would just be huge. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of overlap, and I'm sure it's around the corner. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But
a lot of little dudes.
yeah. Do we have any coders on with us today? So, cool. Well, Austin, what would you do with an extra 2 hours in your day?
I would be getting in front of more clients and perhaps even delegating some of that extra time for more leisure. And but yeah, there's always more work to be done. In regards to the apps and the information being stored inconveniently, there's other apps and software that automate some of these connectivities, like Zapier, right? I don't know if you touched on that at all, but even Zapier isn't quite. I don't want to say it's user friendly. It still takes a lot of setup and commitment to paring down how we capture and manage these tasks and information, right?
I love Zapier. Actually use that. You're right. It does take, there is quite a learning curve to that. But I'll put it in the comment box there, but it's Zapier.com. It interfaces between a number of different apps and software sites. I have mine set up to where I use a CRM. I use Zoho CRM, and it acts as a go-between between Zoho CRM and Google Cloud Print, so that every morning it kicks out a report or a couple different reports that I need on a daily basis. And it's really, again, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. There's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but once you get that down, it really makes things convenient, and automation is absolutely huge.
There's no button that says save to OneNote.
So cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's yours.
Austin, I'm just curious, where are you located at?
Where's yours?
Are you in Denver?
Yeah.
No, I'm out of the Portland area.
Oh, you are? Okay. That's where Kevin and I are at. And Dr. Melinda, I see that for sure. So good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And
I have a question. Is there an app? Because I know there's like Google Calendars and Google Docs and stuff like that. But is there an app where like you could set up a calendar? I guess this is the future. In my future head, I would like to have like an AI, like give me like 10-minute warnings, 5-minute warnings, tell me, okay, it's time to go. You got to motivate towards like the next hour,
All calendar apps, the Googles, the Microsoft Office, Outlook, when you set an appointment, you can put in there when to remind you. It has a reminder time clock. And I do that constantly. I do one-day reminders so that the first thing I do in the morning is all my reminders hit me at 6 a.m. before I get in the office, and they're all on my email desk, and I look at them. I say, okay, I got to do this, 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 and this. That's how it helps me remind me what my day is. So yeah, I do that all the time. They have that. It's a reminder section on your calendar or your appointment.
On the Google apps.
It doesn't matter if it's Google. I'm on Microsoft Outlook, and if you go set an appointment, there's a button over to the far right that says reminders, and that sends you a reminder 30 minutes, an hour, 2 days, whatever time frame you want before the appointment.
Right. So that's more like towards like the personal schedule. I need to find something towards like reminding everyone, like when I'm dealing with like 20 people kind of thing.
Yep. There's ways of doing that too. So you can send it out. So
okay.
Yeah, you dig into it.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
cool. Any other questions? All right. Well, as we wrap that up, like I said, I will be sending out the video recording, an audio only. I'll send out a copy of the slideshow, the My Planner that I've created as an attachment, and then the links to Zapier and Calendly. So a lot of great information out there. And if you do have any questions in the meantime, here's Becky's and my contact information. If you're looking for a leads group in the Seattle, Portland, or Denver areas, reach out to us. We'd love to meet you. Otherwise, if you don't have any other questions, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin.
Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alan.
How soon she forgets.
No, that was excellent information. I really.
Yeah, no, that was a great presentation. I wish more of my groups down here got on this, so I'm going to kick them in the butt for it. So,
Well,
Cool. Very good.
Some
Well,
of
thank
them,
you very much.
Thanks a lot, Alan.
some of them did sign up, but they knew that they'd get the replay. So.
Yeah, and it's like you said, we've got, I think we had, actually looking at it now, we had just under 40 people register. So that's pretty good. So
Yeah, that was good. Really good.
excellent.
Okay. Okay,
Well, thank you everyone, and have a great day. Enjoy the nice weather, and we'll see you soon.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.